you very much for coming in this morning. My name is Sujata. I'm from the class of 1983, and I work for the Alumni and Corporate Relations team, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all this morning. I would now like to request our Dean, Professor Mahesh Panchangula, to welcome the audience.
Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see this in-person gathering for the 25-year reunion back again after a short hiatus. Welcome to each and every one of you that has come from many different corners of the world to enjoy each other's friendship, camaraderie, kinship, and of course enjoy our hospitality and see and relive the past days of your life as a young student here at IIT Madras. A special welcome to those from the best hostel on campus, Ganga. I must remind those booing that in the year 1995, the class that graduated I'm a 1992 graduate, Mechanical Ganga, as you could have told. The class of 95 held the Schreuter all 4 years of their stay on campus, starting with... But anyway, everybody else is as good, second best. I am Mahesh. I am the current Dean for Alumni and Corporate Relations here. And from this vantage point, it's an absolute delight and pleasure to talk to and to be connected to 53,000 plus alumni of IIT Madras, spread over 80 countries of the world, and all of them doing very well professionally, personally, and leading a contributor's life, contributing to the societies around them in a very fruitful way. IIT Madras is what it is today because of all of you, because of this network. There's no doubt about the fact that our alumni network is one of the strongest in the whole world. As someone put it to me, I'm sure each and every one of you in this room has at least two alma mater to sort of compare and contrast. As one of our alumni put it to me, the IIT Madras network is among the most utilitarian networks out there. You can be part of, the other alumni networks, for the most part, are good, old boys or, old people club, to be more gender sensitive. But it's not as utilitarian. When a fellow IIT Madras alumnus, when I meet a fellow IIT Madras alumnus, the conversation starts with simply asking, which class, which branch, which hostel, and then we get straight down to business. It's not that simple with anywhere else in the world. So this sort of powerful network that we've all inherited is something that we should be proud of. Because each and every one of us is a contributor to this powerful network and potentially someone who also aspires to benefit from. I must say I have personally benefited immensely from this network, and I'm sure there are many of you in the audience who will vouch for the same. Part of our office's responsibility is to help you connect with each other, and the Alumni Association does exactly that for the large part, but also help you help IIT Madras. IIT Madras, as you all know, has done very well in India. We've been ranked number 1 for 7 years in a row. I must let you into a little secret behind that ranking. The ranking itself is based on a 3-year aggregate data, right? It's based on a 3-year moving average of data that is supplied, and it's fairly objective in its measurement. So the first 3 years, we somehow got in the top. Bombay was very, very close on the heels. We sort of stayed on the top for 3 years, and that doesn't count for much because it's a 3-year moving average. But now that we've done it for 7 years, which goes 2 full 3-year windows out apart, we must be doing something okay here. And that, what we must be doing okay has to also do with the part that we must be doing okay with some of our alumni relations. And what the alumni have done back for IIT Madras has meant a lot in this journey of remaining on top. Part of what comes with trying to keep on pushing the boundaries is to sort of aspire to do more, create plans that will back those aspirations, find the resources to sort of make those plans happen, and find a group of people that are passionate and share the same vision. So all of these four elements seem to be coming together very well at IIT Madras, more than at any other place. And we are very happy to see that happen, because when those four things come together, high aspirations, a planned process to meet those aspirations, then the resources becoming available and the people being driven by the same vision, it's a juggernaut that cannot be stopped easily. I think we are on that trajectory now, and we have a very clear vision to be a top 50 globally relevant university in about 5 years' time. And we have and all of this is part of, like I said, a very deliberate planned process, which is very difficult to do in a university setting, where I, as an academic professor on campus, value my academic freedom immensely. And in an environment where everybody values their academic freedom, to have a planned process of change and growth is never easy. And we must attribute that to both Professor Anant early on, Professor Bhaskar Ramurthy, and now Professor Kamakoti, for embracing that more difficult path of planned growth. I must also mention something, I should have done this earlier. Professor Kamakoti, our director, is not here today. He was here yesterday to address the class of 97. And through the day yesterday, I saw him a couple of other times, and his throat, and he was just not feeling well. And so his doctor has advised him a couple of days of home arrest. So please forgive. He sends his wishes and apologies for not being here today. But we have the address that he gave just yesterday to a class that is not too far away from you. So if it's with your permission, we're going to play that address. And I'm sure we'll all get an opportunity to interact with him somewhere along in the near future. I think I want to close by making a couple of comments about the role that alumni play in this whole process. Any good university stands on three legs: its students, its faculty and staff, and alumni. And the process by which we have several thousand alumni helping us, involves them contributing their time. So several alumni are committed to teach courses here or advise student teams, work with faculty on specific projects, open doors in your own professional sphere of activity for faculty activities, for faculty research. So these are all ways by which alumni contribute their time. We have several other alumni who actually work almost part-time at IIT Madras. So that's where they bring in their expertise. It could be in the form of teaching, it could be in the form of working on specific research projects. You will see some examples later this morning with sustainability. And of course, the one thing that we've done better than anyone else in India is to help alumni help IIT Madras by contributing their philanthropy, their wealth. And last year, we were fortunate to be the recipient of over 130 crores of well-wisher and philanthropy money. Just to put that number in perspective, the overall money flowing into IIT Madras from various streams today adds up to about 1,500 crores. But this 130 crores, which is roughly about 10%, is an extremely crucial 10%, because this is the 10% that the director and the leadership get to sort of have a say in where it should go. The remaining 1,500 crores are vastly either salary bill practically or directed towards specific research projects that a funding agency and a professor have agreed upon. So this 130 crores, as Professor Bhaskar Ramurthy would call, is a lubricant that moves the remaining 1,500 crores in a direction that we wish it went. So this is a very important and crucial cog in the wheel that makes IIT Madras turn. Thank you again very much for coming. I'll be back again on stage to take some questions, but I think we will have the director's address to you, and then I'll be back to answer any questions. Thank you all.
Vanakkam. Very good morning and welcome to the campus. Back home. Sorry, I have a very bad throat. This is almost permanent for us during month of Margazhi. So as Mahesh, thanks Mahesh for giving an introduction of what IIT as an institution, your alma mater, is doing. Friends, we really are committed and we are progressing towards an exponential growth in all aspects. I'll touch some of these aspects to give you a flavor, and then I have some asks to the alumni. Then we can open up for a discussion. We can have an open house. So this is how I planned. So we have three important buckets on which we are poised to grow. The research bucket, the education bucket, and also the innovation and entrepreneurship bucket. We believe that all these three should exist in almost a very synchronous fashion so that we show a systemic growth. We also realize that as we aspire to become a world-class institution, in absence, this is a multiplier factor. It is entrepreneurship, innovation into education, into research. If any one of them is zero, the whole factor becomes zero. So we realize the importance of all these three buckets, and we have positioned ourselves, we are making all our earnest attempt to grow in all these three aspects. So let me start with one of the important things that have been guiding us in the last, I should say at least 10 years, has been a strategic plan that we evolved for ourselves. So there was a strategic plan somewhere around 2010, another around 2015 to 2017 frame. And now we have released, in my career after joining IIT, the third strategic plan. The strategic plan is evolved with a set of faculty, staff, students and alumni who are involved in building up this plan. And we set certain definite targets in each one of these buckets and many more. And we try to meet these targets, and we plan to have a yearly review to see that whether we are meeting these targets. And we believe that meeting these targets will really take us to a higher class, more world recognition, more global recognition, and make us a top class institution. So looking at this strategic plan, I'm also very happy to announce that your alma mater has been awarded the Institute of Eminence in 2019. What does this mean? It means that from a funding perspective, we'll be given close to 1,000 crores, which roughly translates to around 120 to 150 million dollars. And what we do with this money? So different IITs, there are many IITs who have been recognized as Institute of Eminence. We took a road in which we said that we will encourage research projects, we will encourage setting up of Center of Excellence, and as a part of our strategic plan, we want at least 5 Center of Excellences to be world class in the next 5 years. So to start this, my predecessor, Professor Bhaskar, gave an exploratory grant to multiple teams, multiple interdisciplinary teams on different aspects something which is very futuristic like quantum computing, to something that is current like 5G communications, etc. More than 70 projects came up. They were funded to a tune of around 2 crores to 3 crores, around $500,000, to do an initial exploration. Now after that first phase has over, now we have gone to the second phase, where we are looking at setting up around 15 to 20 centers of excellence, with each being given something close to $3 to $5 million. And that will essentially mean that out of this 20, we believe that 5 of them will become world class. And that is one of the biggest attempts that we are making from a research perspective. And all these centers are interdisciplinary. It involves at least faculty from 3 to 4 departments. And we are looking at a system thinking rather than a specific topic leading to a paper. We are looking at a system thinking where we also get patents, we also get papers, but at the same time, we also get certain products that will be of relevance both to our country and also it becomes globally recognized. Continuing in this direction, in the next 5 years, you would like to establish a very, very, very niche school on medical technology. We already have approval to start a Department of Medical Science and Technology. And we will be introducing a BS course, Bachelor of Science course, 4-year degree program in medical sciences. That is quite different from what is happening across the world. We have constituted a committee comprising some of the best experts in this area of technology and medicine. They are called as physician scientists. And the BS course that we will be offering will be a world-class course which is unique, wherein we will teach more about the engineering understanding of the anatomy, a physiological modeling based on engineering fundamentals and science fundamentals of our body. We will be looking at artificial organs, we will be looking at digital twins. We are looking at many platforms, and one of the ultimate goals for us this year, we have now characterized IIT Madras. Our motto or brand is IITM for all. And IIT also, we are now rebranding it as, rather than in the Indian Institute of Technology, we want to make it as Institute for Indian Technology. These two are some of the most important aspects of branding that we are trying to do. So in this direction, this BS program will pave way for many, many Indian technologies to come in the area of medicine. And we strongly believe that this will be a very interesting program for the undergraduates to take up. We are also looking at a completely digitized health platform. We are working with some of the major software firms in India. By the next reunion, or next year, or whenever we meet another 4 or 5 months, I can divulge more details about this. We want to reach quality healthcare to the rural of the rurals, the poor of the poor, the needy of the needy. We want to touch billion people, and that is our noble goal, and we will be working towards it. And we will also have a PhD program, which will be post-MD or MBBS with a PG. That's a NEET examination, so PG NEET, which will basically bring in certain medical and technology together. So this is our effort on medical sciences. The next big effort that we will be taking up is on the School for Sustainability. We are working very, very, very hard on that. So let me tell you some of the projects that are being happening here. On the sustainability goal, we were consuming 3.6 million liters per day water, fresh water from the Greater Chennai Corporation. We went ahead and did a complete recycling plan, by which today our consumption has become 1.8 million liters per day. We have reduced 50% of our consumption. And the way we do it is much more interesting. We have great pundits in our civil engineering department who came out with a way by which we have laid 26 kilometers of pipeline across the campus, starting at 2 feet deep near the Adayar gate and ending up at 27 feet deep at the Research Park gate. And all the toilets are connected to it, and all the water by gravity, we don't spend power for that, by gravity goes and collects at a place, and we get close to 2 million liters per day, and that is segregated. Only 250 meters we pump it using conventional power, and then the complete recycling happens, and we are able to get 1.8 million liters per day as recycled pure water. And this 1.8 million liters, please note, we have a wildlife campus, we have 70,000 square meters of garden, so we need close to 1 million liters per day of water for the garden, for the whole stuff. And then of course for the AC plant, chiller plant, we are using it, and this is high quality recycled water. We are now committed, charity starts at home, we are now committed to see that in the next couple of years, IIT Madras will not send 1 gram of garbage outside to the city. We will, all the garbage that we have done will be consumed within our campus. To this effect, we are also trying to have all our diesel vehicles, buses, now made into electric buses. The 1981 batch has been extremely supportive of it. They have donated close to $1.2 million, around 10 crore rupees, by which we will be buying 4 e-buses and a bunch of electric carts. So next time you come, we will have a very, we are trying to make it physically challenge friendly. So we'll have this low bottom buses. It will be very nice, and you will enjoy an e-bus noiseless journey inside the campus. So we are, and there are 10 centers which are participating in the School of Sustainability. One is on the water, Aqua Map, and we are now going into an alumni engagement model. There are a lot of alumni who have been engaging themselves in bringing up the center. Krishnan is here, thank you Krishnan, and Parasu. They are the real prime movers for the Aqua Map Center, and we are taking that forward. The next, of course, there's a big call for data science and AI. We'll be also setting up a department for data science and AI. And so these are some of the big research initiatives that I could immediately talk of, and many more things to come at a smaller scale, but these will be very big things. As you know that we just received a grant from Google on the responsible AI. So we now have a very vibrant world-class AI team, and we want to take that up in a very big way. So on the research is also for social good. We have got multiple CSR grants. I'll mention 2 examples today. CSR grant number 1 is by Kotak, which is, we are setting up 5 centers which will go and do audits of MSMEs and basically advise them on how to save power. We believe that in the next 5 years, we could save, and we could have an annual saving of around 1,000 crore rupees in power consumption in these MSMEs. And that is not just money, but it also means a lot in terms of the carbon footprint. So this is a major initiative. 5 IITs, including IIT Madras, are going to be involved, and this is extensively funded by Kotak Bank. The second initiative is on the efforts that we are taking towards physically challenged people. We have a center sponsored by T.T. Jagannathan. He is an alumnus of IIT Madras. And so this is the TTJ Auditorium here in this auditorium. It's given extensive funding, several crores of money, wherein we have now made at least 3 products that are in commercial market. One is a standing chair, where people who sit and who cannot climb stand, this chair will enable them to stand. So in this same auditorium we released it. There are 2 physically challenged people who have never stood in life, but that day at the end there was the national anthem and they did stand with the chair. Okay. So this is a very touching moment. We also, in the same auditorium, we also introduced this artificial leg, and if the person wears a pant, you will never know that there's an artificial leg. The height and everything has been taken care of. So this is also funded by R2D2. We have, it is also funded under CSR. We have a septic tank cleaner, which is now perfected for Indian condition. It's a robo. You know, manual scavenging is something which a human should never do. And this has been perfected. And all these, friends, had led to multiple patents and multiple publications and multiple MS and PhD theses also. But the ultimate goal has been a great social good. So we have donated the first septic tank cleaner to a lady who lost her husband while he was doing manual scavenging. And we will be donating around 30-40 this year, and again through CSR fund. So CSR funding has been put to good issues of social importance. I strongly believe, and all my colleagues, that local relevance will lead to global recognition. And now we are very much interacting with our neighboring places to find out what problems that we could solve, which would give us big solutions that will lead us to a good global recognition. Of course, we purely follow Bhagavad Gita. We don't look at that recognition, but we want to be locally relevant. On the next part that I want to touch here is on the education part. On the education front, IITM for all is our motto. Friends, we are funded around 675 crores of taxpayers' money. And we are rated as top 1 institution. So we have taken it on ourselves that it is our prime duty that we respond voluntarily to all the academic problems of our country, be it at the school level, be it at the higher education level, be it at a strategic level. We need to provide answers, and it's a must that we are sitting on taxpayers' money. One of the most important things that came up is the gross enrollment ratio. We are a country with the least average age. We are a youthful country. But if we fail to educate this youth, 25 years, what our Honorable Prime Minister says, claims as the Amrit Kaal, mentions as the Amrit Kaal, as we touch 2047, 100th year of independence. If we don't educate, we will be an uneducated youth country. And that is not a Thanksgiving. And as an institute running on taxpayers' money, if we don't respond to that call, I think we'll be failing in our duty. Keeping this in mind, thanks to the vision of Professor Anand Bhaskar, we had started this NPTEL program, National Program for Technology Enhanced Learning, much before the COVID struck, at least 12 years before COVID struck. We have several lakhs of hours of education material recorded in that. When the COVID struck, every college student, when they had a doubt, this was the go-to place. NPTEL today, I'm very happy to share, that is rated as the best online education platform in the world by the QS Bottom. I must place on record the great vision of Professor Anand, Professor Bhaskar, Professor Mangal Sundar from the chemistry department, many of you might know him, and Professor Andrew and Vignesh, who are the current coordinators, for running this, actually a thankless job. Okay. But it has been a great service. Motivated by that, we started this online BS program, wherein JEE is an examination of elimination. We have 15 lakhs people aspiring for the JEE mains, out of which finally some people qualify for the JEE advanced, and finally with 23 IITs in place, we select around 16,000 candidates. So this is certainly an examination of elimination, and this requires extensive preparation. Of course, this is the best examination in the world, and congratulations to many of you who cleared the JEE and came to our institution. But at the same time, we would like to have, we certainly feel that people who are not given this access to quality education and quality training, there must be an answer for them. And that is where the BS data science came up, where we have a qualifying examination. BS data science being an online program, we have done certain simulation to see that we can support at any point of time 250,000 students. So there is no cap on the number of seats. So there is no necessity to have an examination of elimination. So we started with a qualifying examination. But the qualifier is not an easy one. It's a very difficult one. There is computational thinking. I can also share the question paper to many of you. You can try to attempt it in 3 hours and see how difficult it is. It is indeed difficult. Once you clear that qualifying examination, you get 50 or 60 marks, you are into the program. You are admitted into the program. Then it's a multiple exit program, because today, as per the national education policy, we want reskilling, and data science is an extremely important topic for reskilling. So at the end of 1 year, you get a certificate. At the end of 2 years, you get a diploma. At the end of 3 years, you get a BSc degree, 3-year degree. At the end of 4 years, you get a BS degree. It's a 4-year degree. Now, it's an entry easy, but exit hard. And of course, the courses are real IIT Madras quality. We have some of the best teachers. Friends, I must say today that we have 16,000 students who are enrolled into that program. And the age, very interesting, the age gap is between 17 and 81. The 81-year-old gentleman failed the first attempt. And he said that he is going to take the second attempt. He met me. He took the second attempt and cleared. And he is going well. We see engineers, bankers working with 17-year students. We see father, son doing better than father, obviously. Daughter, mother, daughter, father, son, mother. Interestingly, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law. And all these combinations. It's an exciting thing. We also did, under IITM for all, we call in Tamil Anevarukkum IITM. We went to corporation schools. We believe that the pearls are in the deepest, caves in the ocean. And we have to reach those caves. We went there. We took 4,000 corporation school children and gave an examination from which 200 we select, simple examination, in which 200 we select, and trained them for 8 months during the weekends. Just 8 months every weekend for 4 hours for attempting this qualifying examination. Friends, we are not reducing the quality of intake, but we are raising the people to meet that quality. At the end of 8 weeks, All these 200 children took the examination. I'm very happy 119 of them cleared. And in the same hall, in the presence of the Honorable School Minister of Tamil Nadu, we gave their admission certificates. This is IIT Madras for you there. Very touching moment. I must tell, a girl from a very, very poor background, one room, one light, cleared the 3-hour paper in 1.5 hours and scored 130 out of 140 or something like that. This is with just 8 months of intervention. So these are all some big eye openers for us. We want to say, so our target in 5 years in terms of education, you would have 50,000 students enrolled as, and we have 53,000 plus, less than 55,000. At every point by 5 years, we want at any point of time 50,000 students enrolled at IIT Madras. It will be 10,000 more than an Ivy League school of US, in which 12,500 will be offline BTech students, 37,500 will be online students. As per our strategic plan, we are planning to open 3 online courses. One is the BS Data Science and Program, which we believe will saturate around 25,000 students at any point of time. As morning I had a discussion with some of the alumni. India is poised to become a semiconductor hub. If it is going to do a fab or not, but certainly electronics is going to go high. So we are opening up a BS program, online program on electronic system design and manufacturing, which will be launched very shortly. And this will be a 4-year BS program. Again, a certificate and diploma exit. Again, available from +2 onwards, people who have completed +2 onwards. And I'm sure that will be a really big game changer in human capacity builder. When we talk to Taiwan, will you come and set a fab? 2 things they ask: who is going to make the chips? Who are the customers in India who will make the chips? Of course, we can give some satisfactory answer. Where is the human capacity? I think that is, the second one is an important answer. And I think this equitable access education will certainly be a very important answer to our nation's very important need, which is within the next couple of years. So, and we would like to have also other programs, online programs. 3 programs at least as per our strategic plan in the next 5 years. We will be launching the second very shortly. On the education front, many of us would have done, I don't know how many people did a branch change after coming here for first year. Anybody here who did a branch change? Yes. Now there is no need for branch change. Of course, the JE rank you get, we call it as karma. Okay. My friend B.S. Murthy is director of IIT Hyderabad now. He's teaching in Meta here. He said, Kava, you're all blessed. I asked why. Then when I enter the class and see the BTechs, they're all very sad. I asked why. They say, I did not get computer science. I said, Murthy, don't worry. When I enter my computer science class, they are also sad. I asked why. No, I didn't get IIT Bombay computer science. Right? So now that karma is gone. What we have done is at the end of the second year, when you go into your 5th semester, we are now offering interdisciplinary dual degree program, which we have now already have 11 of them, starting from additive manufacturing, nanotechnology, robotics, quantum sciences, cyber physical systems, energy systems, all favorite things, unheard of things, which no coaching class, no parents, no peer group, no prospective mother-in-law, father-in-law can counsel you. You will see it at the end of your second year here. And depending upon your interest, you can take it. Interestingly, we have launched very recently a program on quantitative finance. What we realize, even when I randomly take a survey, 75% don't stick to your core. Right? You've gone into something. And today, high frequency trading seems to be the most important. And then that gives you the top 15 jobs. And okay, fine. Quantitative finance is also important. I must also mention here, since it's an alumni reunion, when we wanted to take a syllabus for quantitative finance, I had no clue. I am a computer science doing architecture. Okay. I know that the student has spent my whole life teaching him architecture. I wanted him to go to some good school, do architecture, come back and teach architecture. As a director, friends, I am teaching 2 courses next semester. We are not getting that great faculty, especially in computer science, because it's a very big challenge, especially in systems. So I really struggle to see that these guys come back, but ultimately they land up with some high frequency trading company. That's my only exposure to high frequency trading. I hate it because of that reason. But now I wanted to form a syllabus for quantitative finance. Just one call, Mahesh identified Arvind and another Debu, within 3 days, these 2 guys gave a world-class syllabus in quantitative finance. Okay, if you all know Debu or Arvind, please convey me. We have also thanked them. This is the first time an alumni has been deeply involved in forming a syllabus. This is the level of the alumni engagement which IIT Madras will take. Now, we are committed to getting 20 IIID programs, and each IIID program, interdisciplinary dual degree program, will have at least 10 to 12 faculty with at least 4 to 5 departments. Friends, we have introduced the MA in policy, right? So this is very important. Today, many people want to go to civil service. I want the next higher education secretary, finance secretary and DSC secretary to be IIT Madras alumnus so that I get a lot more grants. So I am motivating them, and for them to clear IAS and roaring success, policy is very important. Right? Today, when we all go as technology experts to policy is a very thing. If you want, I met some alumni on the cyber security. You know, some policy on cyber security. It is between regulation versus privacy. So everything is hanging. So we need to have good experts who can also communicate well, who can prove that ant is an elephant, right? So that type of caliber we need to develop. And we want IIT Madras alumnus to do that for a period of time. And that is something we are looking at. So we have a IIID on policy MA. So you can get a BTech in naval architecture and a MA in public policy. So this is what our education is going through, and I strongly believe that over a period of time we need to remove the notion of a department and it should become one school. Then only system thinking will grow, and we are committed to that and we are moving towards it. The last is on the innovation and entrepreneurship. Hey, is it interesting? The last is on this is the first alumni meet where I am addressing an alumni who is younger than me. So, enthused. So, till I assume I am a prof. Okay, so, last is on the entrepreneurship and innovation. So, we have one of the things that we have been promoting now recently is that you should become employers rather than employees. The first 4 days of placement should be from IIT Madras incubated company. These are all some of the very lofty goals, lofty ambitions that we have. So in this direction, we have now systematized the entire process to a large extent. If you find time, I think you have visited yesterday, there is a Center for Innovation. That is again set up by alumni funding. So, we have 2 institutions. One is the Center for Innovation, the CFI itself, which basically you go with an idea and you can convert it into a design. There will be mentors. So there are at least 50 to 60 different teams working on an idea to a design. Once you get focused, there is Nirman, which will take the design into a prototype and a startup. Then we have Gopalakrishnan Deshpande to Alumni Society Madras, a funded a center, Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center, which will nurture this startup to become big unicorns. And of course, we have 6 incubators. We have an incubator for cyber physical systems. We have an incubator for health technology. We have an incubator for bio. We have an RTBR, the rural technology based incubator. We have a bio incubator. And then, of course, the mother incubator, incubation center. Recently, we have also started with camps, again, founded by one of our alumnus. We have started a FinTech Innovation Center. We also want to grow very much on the FinTech side. So, these incubators will incubate and give them space, give them some money in return of some equity. So, this process we have started. And for the patenting, friends, last year we filed 246 patents. We had 174 grants, 174. We now have an SLA with this building, ICSR, wherein within 48 hours you will protect your idea. So your journal paper deadline or your conference deadline is 2 days away. Today you come to ICSR. Think it is 2 days before. You will also work faster. You will have time to revise. Give the idea here. Within 48 hours, we will give you a docket number by which your idea is put. How do we do this? We now have an AI-based tool. It's an Atmanirbhar India-made tool from Chandigarh, startup at Chandigarh, which will basically, you give the idea, it will give you about total addressable market, it will give you about novelty, it will give you all the competing patents across the globe. It will check for your novelty, it will give you a score. So all that your attorney fellows do, it does it in 5 minutes. So even people who come up with ideas get refined over a period of time. This enablement, we are rated as the best IP institution in the country by the DPIIT, and also we also got a CIA award for that. Friends, our goal is to make it patent a day scheme, patch. We want, next goal is 365 patents in a normal year and 366 in a leap year. And that's what we are attempting, and we will move towards it. This year, the Dean has assured me we will touch 300 patents. Just look at it. We submit 1,800 theses at BTech and MTech level. Even assuming 20% of that are patentable, I'm sure it will be. What is 20% of 1,800 theses? This is something that we will achieve, and then we will double it. Okay. So this is our commitment to entrepreneurship and innovation. Today I can very proudly tell you that we have the patent for manufacturing 3D printed rocket engines. We have a rocket factory in our IIT Madras research park by a company called Agnikul. And if things go well, within the next couple of months, we will be launching the first 3D printed rocket engine enabled rocket. The first suborbital launch will be done. And that will be the first indigenous technology. We print rocket engines in 72 hours using 3D printing technology, and it's working so well. We have now set up another campus. 250 acres of land has been given by the Tamil Nadu government. We call it as the Discovery Campus, in which we give area for these type of research. Agnikul has set up their rocket testing facility there, basically engine testing facility. Similarly, again, if everything goes well, by the next year when we all meet, We will have the first track for Hyperloop, first test track of half a kilometer for Hyperloop, the first in Asia. And we are bidding for running the next international Hyperloop competition at Chennai, at our Discovery Campus. And of course, Ather, the electric scooter, has been incubated by IIT Madras. Unifor, another company, has been incubated by IIT Madras. And some of them are very nicely exited, giving us rich dividends.
I hope that was informative. If you have any questions on what the director talked about or your broad thinking of where IIT Madras should be, we'll spend another maybe 10 minutes or so to go over any questions you may have.
Hi, this is Venkateshwaran Mahavenki, 96 batch, Alak. At the outset, thanks to Professor Mahesh Panchagnala and also Professor Kamakoti for helping us understand where IIT Madras has moved from when we graduated to where it is now, right? So after 25 years, as I walk into IIT Madras, right, there is a phenomenal difference, in terms of how I perceive this place. I feel that I'm walking into a university, right? And when we graduated, we had very few departments. And since then, I see that, MBA HR has been added. And, you spoke about medical technology. And IIT Madras has spread its wings across multiple initiatives, including a lot of social initiatives, Atmanirbhar, etc., that Professor Kamakoti was talking about. So when I look at it today, right, my question is, from being a premier technological institute, are we diluting and becoming some sort of a broader university? And how are we aligned with the vision of Jawaharlal Nehru when he set up the IITs as institutes of premium technical excellence?
So, good question, thank you. I think the answer really lies in what technology, the path that technology has taken in our lives. Jawaharlal Nehru could not have imagined that the bottom 10% of India would be using UPI for payments. Today, doctors cannot practice their profession without some technology aid at their disposal. And going forward, doctors would not only have to use technology aids as they do today, they would actually have to understand and rely far more deeply. So our vision still remains the same, to be a premier technology institution, except to say that we want to go wherever technology goes. We don't want to draw boundaries around where technology should go, for example, around engineering. We will go, if tomorrow technology is seeped into the world of medicine in a manner that a doctor has to be a part technologist, we want to be there training that manpower, whether they are MD physicians or engineers assisting doctors on either side of the value proposition. Today, the world of finance is extremely reliant on technology. And you saw Professor Kamakoti talked of the dual degree program in quantitative finance. So wherever technology goes, we are right there to train the people and to do the research to push the boundaries in those areas. Yes, sir.
Anand, the batch of 95, in that list of world-class universities, institutes, the endowment normally plays a big role in terms of funding and drawing in contributions and investing them and all that. Could you give some color on the nature of the endowment now that Indian institutes also seem to be sort of running their endowment in a more professional way and so on? So
that's the slide deck coming up. Okay, so I'll hold off till maybe a few more questions are done. We'll use our built-in microphone sometimes. I think this room is user-friendly.
Ram, so class of 96, Ganga.
Super.
Yes, so you have a whole cohort here. So.
Clearly he's going to have a good question, no doubt about it.
So, given all these changes, right, how has the student experience changed? Because when we went through,
student experience, okay.
Yeah, so because when we went through, we were kind of on our own. We were like, okay, you went to class and then you were kind of left to figure your career and everything by your own way, right? But now that you have all these things going on, how does the student experience at IITM change, and what are you hearing from the students in terms of their, as they graduate, what do they get out of it?
So, students, I mean, like I'm sure all of you, or have kids that are grown up. Students come extremely well informed. First of all, okay. So, they kind of know what careers are, what careers take people in which directions. They know they sort of know where the world is headed. It may not be a very informed view, but they do have a viewpoint. And the network of seniors advising juniors, all of us had that privilege as well. That is an extremely robust network. It functions very well. I'll give you a couple of examples. Somebody in first year, I asked this question in my engineering mechanics class. How many of you want to go into a consulting career, let's say a McKinsey? Okay, in a first year class, a few people know what a McKinsey is, and in a first year class, they say, I know what I want to be. Okay, and that I would not have even heard. I'll be frank, in 1988, July, when I stepped into IIT, I had no clue that there was a company by that name. So people do come well informed, not only of where they want to be, because they may have seen some examples somewhere, but also they know the pathway, or over time they figure out the pathway to go from where they are to where they want to be. So I joke with the students, I don't know if Satyendra is here, the student secretary. So I've joked with him that we've practically begun offering a BTech in resume engineering. Practically every student who graduates has an automatic BTech in resume engineering. So, for example, he knows in first year, if you want to crack a consulting job in your fourth year, he will tell his first year student, you have to become a volunteer for Shastra lectures. You should have a picture with Nirmala Sitaraman in your first year. Second year, you should become a coordinator. And in this job, you need to do ABC. So there's a whole bullet point accrual process that helps them go in a direction that they want to go. So they come very well informed. And in fact, Karthik was here a few days ago. We went to the hostel. I don't know if any of you will all go to the hostels. You will see students have, we used to have one pair of Hawaii chappals just loitering around in the room. Now you go to any student room, you will see 3 or 4 pairs of shoes and chappals there. You will find, surprisingly, a pair of formal shoes for the Friday evening outing. You come here on a Friday evening, you will see students nicely dressed up, am I right? Nicely dressed up, going out for an evening on the town. So these are all things that happen, they're not happenstance. They come well informed, they know what life is supposed to be like, and they go in that direction. So that's the big difference. But the one thing that has not changed is I'll say broadly, the drive to excel. I'm sure it is in every one of you. You would not be here without that. It is still a common trait across practically every student I see. Practically every student.
I have a question for you, Mahesh. Because when we are studying, right, so it was mainly theoretical. So what we are learning, and we don't know what we are doing, there's a big gap. So what we can do to fill that gap? Because it was all theoretical, as you said about McKinsey. We didn't know about McKinsey. So is there anything IIT can do to teach them or educate them or, fill that gap? Like all this theoretical and what you are doing, these theoretical things won't be any of you, you'll be doing completely different or something like that. How can you close that gap?
Well, I'm a professor, you should remember that. Theory is very useful. Okay. Having said that, I'll say our curriculum at IIT Madras in particular, for a very long time, is what anywhere else in the world would be called engineering science curriculum. So we don't teach practical mechanical engineering. For example, when I did my 4 years, I would not know exactly which impeller to use to design a pump to pump water over 100 feet height. But I would know the theory behind how pumping happens, And then, I would also know the location of a handbook in a library that would have the necessary formulas for me to do the rest of the calculation. So this thinking of devising a curriculum for engineering science and then letting the engineering practicum follow from their own intellectual process is sort of how we've thought of curriculum here for a long time. Some of the US universities are different. Some are very similar to our thinking. Some US universities have the idea of a capstone project where they are more useful. We believed, for a long time, we have believed that we really want to train people for the next higher level intellectual skill, not necessarily to design pumps, but to guide a pump manufacturing company in a direction that they should be going. So that's the sort of the philosophical positioning of our curriculum, and that has not changed today, I must say. If your question was, has that changed? The answer I'll say is no, it has not changed. And I see value in the way we have it still. We do have students who go do a lot of hands-on work by themselves and sort of, are able to.
With all the changes in India and IIT, have we been able to retain more students like for opportunities, higher studies within India, like the brain drain? How has it evolved over the last 25 years or more recently?
Huge shift. Only about 8% of the students in any graduating class leave IIT, leave India. 92% are very well employed right here. And that's practically going to be the way it's going to, that number has sort of stabilized over the last 15, 20 years. I know these numbers because I recently answered a question for the Parliament, not in the Parliament, for Parliament, so I know. I'll have to pause here. I want to quickly go through some thoughts here. This is sort of a picture of IIT from the early 80s, and this is the picture today. You see, first of all, it's far more greener, and everything we've done, our students going from roughly 3,000 when you were all here to 11,000 now, faculty going from about 400 to 600 plus, our academic square footage almost doubling, our hostels footprint doubling, my residential footprint, place we live, where we all live, having doubled. All of that has happened with this increased greenery around us. Now, in 1995, when you graduated, just to remind each and every one of us, this is roughly the fee we paid, which in today's rupees is about 13,000, inflation corrected. My office did a good job of actually digging out the currency notes that you may have paid. Now, the grant during the year that you were here paid for about 81,000 rupees of your education that year, which is roughly about 36 times what you paid. So just to put some numbers, the sum total fee collection in 1995 by IIT Madras was 64 lakhs. The government grant that year for just the OPEX part was 23 crores. Okay. So these are the numbers for 1996. They won't look very different. Okay, you see that number, the ratio is roughly the same. So this is our request, our wish, I'll be even audacious enough to say our demand back. Yeah, there you go. We'll all start. That if we all contributed 1 week's earnings back to IIT, for the first 5 years, you just did this for 5 years, we believe we would have an endowment of over $1 billion. So that's how powerful this network is. And if each and every one of us stepped up to do our part of giving back about 2%, we would be in a position to rival the best in the world. And what this would do, this kind of an endowment, is we are now heavily reliant on the government grant. Roughly about 30% of our total cash flow comes from the government. As we build this endowment, we will be able to spend more of that on 3 fundamental needs. The return on that would be used to build infrastructure, for which we are still reliant on the government to some part. Create a student endowment that would enable scholarships for students. For example, today we have right now I have 400 students whose parental income is below 8 lakhs, who are required to pay the full 2 lakh tuition fee, not accounting for their living expenses. If I had an endowment of about $33 million, I can advertise on the web page up front that any student whose parental income is less than 8 lakhs will study here for free on an alumni-funded scholarship. And we want to do that. Because financial hardship should not come in the way of anyone's education, let alone somebody who cracked a very tough exam to come into IIT Madras. And the third bucket for which we require your support is to enable research directions that a government isn't positioned to take on. We need to accrue a report card of some achievement before I can go to an external agency and convince them. That's where a group of well-wishers like you can help us kickstart these initiatives. So wherever you can choose where your contribution should go into one of these three buckets, and it will make a difference to the cause you choose. Today, our endowment, our unrestricted endowment, this is the restricted endowment. Our unrestricted endowment is another roughly 400 crores. So our total endowment is about 600 something crores. We wish to take that to about 8,000 crores in 5 years' time. And this is our target. And once we do that, the return on that 8,000 crores, roughly that will yield about 400 crores of return annually. It will actually yield about 11% by our endowment management. We have an endowment management process right now that has been yielding on average about 11 to 12% annually in rupees. And we deploy about 5% of it and restore the remaining 6% back into the endowment to preserve its value against inflation. And so that 400 crores that we take out would fund the kinds of initiatives I just described in the previous slide. And those are all going to be sort of game-changing, path-breaking initiatives for which regular government funding is not available. And more importantly, every time we do this, every time we go to the government and say, I have my own pot of money, I don't need your money, a government is likely to ask us, how much more do you need? That's the nature of the world we live. The more I tell them I don't need your money, they know we are doing something good, and they want to continue to invest in us. And that's the position we want to be in. So I'll close with this slide and with the exhortation to remind you of the fact that you all learned here, and I'm sure you're all earning, and it's time to return back. Thank you very much.
I would now like to invite Mr. Kaviraj Nair, the CEO of the Office of Institutional Advancement, to address the audience.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sujata. So I think I'm from the 1999 batch of Mandakini Hostel, Civil Engineering BTech. Good to see lots of Mandakini people also. So I'm back in the campus. I lead the development office at IIT as a CEO. I work with Professor Mahesh and Professor Kamakoti and all of them on various initiatives. I have a specific purpose for the talk now. I basically wanted to introduce our office, talk about the remit of our office, and what are the interfaces and how do we work with alumni. So, because during various meetings in the last few days, I got several queries about what all things do you do and how do we reach out to you, what are the communication methods and all of that. So there are two areas that our office works on. And so one is with alumni. So we have, as Professor Mahesh must have mentioned, about 55,000 alumni spread across all over the world, right? So the very purpose with which our office was established is to reach out to alumni. We also work with corporates as part of their corporate social responsibility projects. In India, there is a statute that says that 2% of your profits have to be plowed back into the society as part of CSR initiatives. That is also used to we leverage those funds also to fund some of the faculty-driven projects in areas like water, sanitation, environmental technologies, healthcare, all of that. So there's a team that works with the corporates. Of course, in that area also, we leverage our alumni, because many of our alumni are in very key decision-making roles and influencer positions in various organizations. So they give us a warm introduction to the CSR departments, and we pitch our projects as usual. As about the team, so there are 4 functions that that are there in our office. So first one is on the proposal part, right? So where if there is a project about, say for example, if it's about the research endowment or the student distress fund or like any of the infrastructure like a sports facility creation or hostel renovation or any of that, there's a team that works with the respective stakeholders internally to kind of put forward a two-pager which kind of outlines what are the requirements, what are the milestones, what's the impact it's going to create in the future years, how many people's lives it's going to touch, all of that, right? So very clearly that's done. That's kind of shared with interested alumni who want to kind of collaborate on those projects. The second part of the team is where we call the frontline team, the sales and marketing or whatever. Like so, essentially, this team has to socialize those ideas. Like so, those are the people who will clarify all your questions. I get a lot of questions about, say, I'm interested actually in working on some student-centric initiatives or like some scholarships related. Like somebody wants to do scholarships in the institute, and how can I enable it, right? So this team will clarify all your queries around what are the various interesting options you have. How will my money be utilized if I kind of fund something? How do I get to know the updates, the progress updates, that it is used in the right way? So if it's, say for example, something like a CFI, our team goes around taking different updates on regular intervals, sends videos, photographs, have Zoom calls with people. Very clearly, it's a very transparent process. You will get to know on every interval. So this team clears all of that, kind of arrives at a, if there is an interest, kind of arrives at a mutually, acceptable position on that. The third part is deployment, where our team coordinates with the institute to kind of make sure that the funds that's received is clearly utilized and like all of that. So they coordinate with the internal stakeholders within the institute. And the last one, the fourth one, in fact, there's one more. The fourth one, which is again very important, is donor stewardship team. Which is the team you can reach out to for all your reporting purposes. Like so, which is the one which runs, sends you this joy of giving report, the impact that it has created over the years, how your support and contribution has made a significant impact in the institute. So all of that they do, they have regular task on hand on that. And then of course there's a marketing team. So in the last few reunions that I kind of attended in this month itself, I think one of the things that I got to know as a feedback is that I think we don't share enough about the institute and we need to communicate more. So that's clearly the marketing team does. So one request here is that we have a Salesforce database. So kindly register. So we have been doing some campaigns to make sure that we request you for the email IDs and all of that. So whichever ID you want to be included there, please include, because we do send out periodic newsletters and other updates about interesting things that's happening in the campus. If you are a local IIT, some of the lectures and technical sessions and webinars and in-person meetings and all of that happens, we make sure that it reaches out to people. So if you are anywhere in India or visiting, if you want to attend, all of that we can do. So kindly, make sure that your IDs are with us or whatever contact numbers. So that's the other one. So marketing team does all of that. They kind of spread the news about what's going on. So I think that is about the team structure. And I just want to introduce some of my team members who are present here so that there is a face familiarity and you can reach out to all of them. So Sujata, of course, leads the alumni engagement. She is also a 1983 BTech chemical alumna. So Sujata is there. You would have seen lots of mails from her. Then of course, Jawahar also works with the alumni segment. Then Shweta is another alumna. She is from 2014. Yeah. So Shweta is, she also work with alumni segment. And then we have donor stewardship team led by Ilavarasi. So Ilavarasi and others are present here. Like so, Angelina and Shweta Veda. Okay. Yeah, so this team actually makes sure that, so we have about 8-9 members in the donor stewardship team. Some of them caters to the corporate segment and so that's how we have divided. So they make sure that all your reporting, so if you don't get any report on any of your projects, please, she's the person to kind of reach out to. So, and they take care of that. So I think that's what I wanted to discuss. Other parts, Dean Professor Mahesh has already discussed in terms of student-centric, research-centric, and infrastructure and all of that. So we are always here. Thank you. Have a great time.
I would now like to invite Krishnan Narayanan from 1996 and Shyamala from 95 to talk on IIT Madras' behalf.
So good morning, everybody. My name is Krishnan, Mama, Godavari, BTech, Mechanical. So when we, this is 96, 95 batch, when we started this whole planning for the reunion, we had a small, this thing saying, which batch will, numbers will be higher. And soon I realized, it's better to do group projects. 95 and 96 have done well. Okay, so, we are here to talk about the IIT Madras Alumni Association. Yes, it's a separate organization, and we do things beyond just organizing reunions. Of course, big shout of kudos and support to the team that has organized, Nishani and team. So I want you to think about these 5 numbers when you think of IIT Ma. The 5 numbers. So the numbers are 1, 100, 3,500, 650,000, and 0. These are the 5 numbers that I want you to think about, right? So, and I'm reminded of my ragging session when Bamba asked me to sing 1, 2, 3, 4 in the, like 1, 2, 3, 4 in the increasing order of prime numbers, but but we are not going there. So what is 1, right? In 1964, when IIT Ma was started, 100 rupees was given to it by the Dairo to do only one activity, which was to create the alumni database in 1964. Cut to 2022, I'm very happy to say that the team has been, has anchored more than 100 programs and initiatives in the last year. More than 50,000 of our alumni have participated in these programs across various things. We do in 3 pillars called community spirit, thought leadership, and societal impact. And many of you may have heard about this, but there are things like Yari, Click, Guru Talks, Sangam, Aqua Map, so many different initiatives that we've been doing. Women in STEM, which Shamla has been driving, and so on, right? So that's the number there. The next number, 3,500. Now that is actually the number of alumni who have registered formally on the IIT Ma platform to actively volunteer. And it's people like this who are helping us implement these initiatives. The next number, 650,000. Now, when we took this initiative about 1.5 years, 2 years back, we set up one mission called Mission Million Smiles. And our idea was that we should do activities which create an impact in the society at large, right? Of course, we want to help our fellow alumni, but we want to create a society at large impact. And so we actually measure the number of smiles that we have created. And we are tracking that from the Mission Million Smiles at about 650,000 smiles. So we have come a long way since we started. And I'll finally leave with this number 0, right? Which is, ultimately, we want 0 distance between the alumni and the institute, right? So those are the 5 numbers that I want to think about. Shamla?
Hey, hi, I'm Shamla, batch of 95 and civil engineering, Sarayu Hostel. So proudly Sarayu. I think there's a lot of questions in the mind, right? I mean, when you come to IIT after this many years, we have 2 different organizations. There's the ACR's office that's the part of the institute. I want to just share with you that we as IIT Ma represent the Alumni Association, which is the more fun part of the association. We bring to you all the chapter meets and the reunions. I think there is this special joy in coming together and being together as alumni, and that's what we facilitate. It's so amazing, right? After 27 years, we're all here. Some of us have not met at all, but we can just pick up and start talking from where we were. And this is the magic that we want to continue to do. We do the chapter events, reunions, and but we told to ourselves as EC, like Krishnan said, that jointly, can we do something more? Can we do something more powerful, which is again going to just bring us all together, and that's how we started working on some societal impact initiatives. So highly encourage all of you to volunteer and sign up for some of our programs. We do impact, which is impacting society as well. Just join hands and do work together with IIT Madras. Both are which we do. And we really encourage all of you to volunteer and sign up with us. Yep, I didn't want to speak for more than a minute. So I just want to conclude with saying that I want to just celebrate the energy and joy that we're experiencing and the more fun times that we're going to have today. And thank you, all of you, for taking time off from your busy schedules and your routines, your families, just to be here together. So 3 cheers to all of us. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Thank you.
I would now like to invite Professor Ashwin Mahalingam to talk about the School of Sustainability.
25 years on and the ragging still hasn't stopped. Yeah, my name's Ashwin. I was called MASH, class of 98, Godav Civil. So overlapped with both the 95 and 96 batches. So good to see a lot of familiar faces. Welcome back to IIT. One of the things we wanted to do is to spend a few minutes talking about where IIT Madras is going and the next big thing at IIT Madras. So I'm just going to talk for a few minutes about this new initiative we are putting together called the School of Sustainability. So sustainability is front and center of a lot of everyone's attention right now, a huge challenge that we're all, various organizations, trying to solve. And at IIT Madras, we've been sort of thinking about what do we do about this and are trying to put together the school. I'll start with the good news, right? So when you look at sustainability at IIT or sustainability in general, a lot of people look at it through different lenses. Some people look at it from the perspective of what we call the natural environment, so water, air, biodiversity, things like that. Some people look at it through the lens of the built environment, so energy, carbon, materials, all of that. And increasingly, people are starting to look at it through the lens of what people do, how they use technology, things like that. So on all these fronts, there's a ton of work that's happening at IIT Madras, right? There are a number of centers, a number of faculty. We actually did a poll, and it looks like at the minimum there are 100 faculty members at IIT Madras whose work touches on some area of sustainability, right? So that's the good news. There's a lot of momentum, a lot that we're already doing. But turns out that we are working quite a bit in silos, right? So the idea is to bring together all of these centers. And by the way, there are more efforts going on at IIT Madras. The criteria for membership in this slide was whether you had a pretty enough logo that made the slide look good, right? But there are, I guess, at least a dozen other efforts out there that do this. So what we're trying to do is to put all of this together to create this new school that will essentially go above and beyond what we're trying to do and sort of solve these grand challenges that India is facing and perhaps the world as well. So what the school will do is create this umbrella around all of these efforts. It will do 4 things, right? First, we want to start teaching sustainability, which, of course, when all of us were students, was not really a topic of interest. Teach sustainability to literally every student who goes through campus, but also teach it in very interesting ways. So develop mechanisms where faculty from civil engineering can partner with faculty from chemical engineering and put something together, right? So teaching is going to be important. A lot of interdisciplinary research is going to be important. So we're going to be a center that funds a lot of research in sustainability. But also, for instance, we have this ongoing conversation on creating net zero villages, where you need people with backgrounds in water, energy, waste, materials, all of that to come together. So we'd like to take up these kinds of projects, bring a bunch of centers together. And then finally, the idea of the school is that it's a platform where whether you're a student, whether you're a faculty, whether you're an alumni, you leverage the platform to push the agenda forward with regards to sustainability. So the school will hopefully have some network, some resources, space that will allow all of us to come together and drive sustainability forward. So this is something that we sort of have planned. In terms of teaching, I'm not going to get into the details, but the idea is that every BTech student coming into IIT and every MTech student as well should have the opportunity to take, in addition to whatever they're studying, whether it's computer science, aero, civil, elec, a bunch of courses in sustainability and get credit for it. So very shortly, so the students who are joining in 2023, the ones who are going to write the next JEE exam, will have the opportunity of graduating with a minor in sustainability. And hopefully the following batch will have the opportunity to stay an extra year if they choose to and graduate with a master's in sustainability, irrespective of the BTech degree that they have, right? And hopefully we will also leverage this. And one of the things that we're really focused on today is taking the IIT education over and beyond the, I don't know, now 800 students who come in every year, right? So through our NPTEL program and so on, the idea is to offer certificate courses to people outside the IIT system. So we broad-base sustainability education. There are several research areas that we're sort of focusing on where we feel we have core strengths. Decarbonize. We have some of the best energy researchers in the country here. We have some of the best materials researchers in the country here. So we're trying to put all of this together. I'm not going to get into the details, but there are a number of research thrusts that we'd like to sort of fund. But the difference here is that, typically we do a lot of basic scientific research. That's what academic universities do. You sort of publish papers, things like that. We do a little bit of technology development. And of course, we've had this focus on entrepreneurship over the last decade. So we're trying to transfer technologies in the lab to the market. But what we've not done as much of is actual on-the-ground implementation. So when I talked about net zero villages, we haven't really gone and created net zero villages. And what we've also not done very much of is influence policy in a big way, right? And in many parts of the world, academic institutes with the kind of excellence we have work with policymakers to define policy around these issues. So these are two aspects that the school expects to really drive through a variety of policy. I mean, essentially, the plan is to create something like a World Economic Forum for Sustainability at IIT Madras, where you constantly have policymakers, bureaucrats, technocrats, academics, practitioners coming together and sort of generating knowledge and ideas that will push forth the sustainability agenda. So a number of things that we have planned. So to make this happen, we're in the process of raising funding. So we have an overall target of about 300 crores that we want to raise over a period of time. In Mahesh's parlance, about 100 of that will go into the infrastructure fund to actually set up a physical school where all of these centers will be housed together. And about 200 crores becomes an endowment, the interest from which will actually fund research that is not currently getting funded in the Indian environment. So a lot of the technology meets policy kind of work doesn't necessarily get readily funded. We'd like to support some of those efforts internally through the school. So of course, we're in the process of raising money from corporate houses and so on, but we're also looking at alumni to help support the school. But beyond funding, critical area where we'd like to seek alumni support is in developing partnerships. Because at IIT Madras, we realize we don't have the expertise to solve this problem completely. And we will need to partner with all kinds of people who can fund us, people who can help us implement projects on the ground, people who can collaborate, co-research with us, or people who can help us drive policy. There are a number of organizations that we already work with, NGOs, development organizations, governments, corporates, etc. But there are always more, right? So to the extent to which you are already a part of these kinds of organizations, to the extent to which you can connect us with those kinds of organizations, that would be very welcome, because we want to build this large network of people through whom we can tackle this problem of sustainability. So again, that's something that I'd like all of you to participate in. So essentially this is going to be one of the thrusts of the Institute over the next sort of 5 to 10 years at least, if not more. And while we are doing a lot of work on campus, faculty, students, etc., we'd like to see, to the extent to which alumni can also be involved in this. Of course, we'd love to have you guys help us fund the school. We'd love to have you help us connect us to partners. But we'd also like to have you participate in some of these efforts. For instance, we have something called an energy consortium, a bunch of people working on energy, and there are a number of alumni involved in this effort. So if there are sustainability-related efforts that you're involved in, and you'd like to sort of partner with us or have us partner with you, work together, we'd love to open the doors to alumni as well. And also, we'd like to invite all of you to leverage the school as a platform. So we have our own legitimacy, our own connections, all of that. So if you would like to, for instance, organize a policy workshop around a theme that you're interested in, then hopefully the School of Sustainability could be a platform that allows you to do that, right? So, so please be aware of all of this, and as and when the need arises, as and when the opportunity arises, connect with us, because this is a really critical challenge that we're looking at solving. This is the core team of faculty that's helping put this together. You may not know very many of them. In fact, I think only a couple of others are alumni. But the point here is that they are drawn from a variety of departments. We've got computer science people here, electrical, mechanical, chemical, civil, the whole gamut. So the school is being set up as a very interdisciplinary entity that brings together expertise all across campus, okay? So so that's it from me. I'm happy to answer any questions about the school or about IIT Madras in general. until we get booted out of this room in 10 minutes. But yeah, so this is IIT Madras's next big thing, and we hope that as many of you as possible will partner with us in this journey. Thank you.